Welcome back to the show, everybody. I have a question for each and every one of you. Where is Gary Gensler? Where is this guy? Why has Congress not approved or confirmed Gary Gensler to the SEC? One thing we know is we need leadership more than ever coming out of the SEC, and for some reason, they haven't confirmed him. Well, today, we're going to ask the questions why that may be. Let's roll that beautiful intro. Here we go.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradley above at the top of the screen. Everything that we're talking about here, we're off 5.91%, 1.6 trillion plus for the cryptocurrency space. Bitcoin is sitting at 53,000. We know that the dollar index is strong and Bitcoin is softening, and the crypto market broadly, right? Coming in at number 7 spot, XRP, courtesy of the dereliction of duty of the SEC. We are in now right at 51 cents is where we're ringing in. We had a huge pullback yesterday, late day, and everybody was like, what's going on here? But I can tell you, I don't believe we went below the 47-cent range, which was a key point of resistance earlier for us and has now become, I believe, a support line. I didn't get to see how much it pulled back, but I don't think we went too much below it or touched it, at least. I'm not sure, but we're back at 51 cents, which tells me there's still enough, even after a sell-off, there's still enough energy out here for us to keep that $80 range well on the table. This is crypto. You never know. Look, right now we see that XRP is ranging between 51 cents and 56 cents, and we will keep an eye on that. Like I said, to me, that is a key moment to, or a key point to make, to hold on to, is that, hey, when we didn't break down and stay below 47 cents, and I'm cool, because that tells me we can keep on pressing and talking about the fact that we should be challenging that 67 spot for resistance again. If we turn that into support, we will be well on our way to 80 cents or $1. So we'll keep an eye on that. Now, guys, just a reminder, March Madness for Unstoppable Domains, colleges.crypto, cardealers.crypto, mall.crypto, bars.crypto. It's all right there. Make sure you check out the link if you're into NFTs. Let's get this moving, because after this one, we're going to get into the questions of where Gary Gensler is, and I'm going to put some food for thought on the table here for you, and let's see what we can come up with. Right here is really a fun one. BitTrue says, hashtag relist XRP. Oh, wait, we never took it down. Shout out to those strong hands, Uphold and BitTrue. This is what a pimp slap looks like. You don't have to put hashtag relist XRP if you never took it down. BitTrue ain't playing child games. Their game is much too strong to back down. And you know what? I'm inclined to agree with them, to tell you the truth, because it really does come down to a moment now where we're looking at many exchanges, because we talked with iTrust and they have confirmed that they are in talks to really, because of the SEC transcripts, to actually consider relisting XRP. That is exciting. We'll keep you up to date on that. Now let's look at the information here leading up to the Gary Gensler confirmation, if we could get it, right? Ripple donates $50 million to universities, including Princeton, MIT, to accelerate blockchain adoption. This is 2018, this article was. And here it shows a list. You can see MIT, for which Gary Gensler taught at, right, for quite a while. We're going to get into that in just a second as well. We see here the work going on. MIT has moved its blockchain research from the blackboard to the real world through a partnership with distributed ledger tech startup Ripple. While MIT has long been involved in supporting Bitcoin blockchain industries through research, the aim of this project is to develop blockchain, financial services, and other enterprise data projects, the university said. MIT Connection Science director said he expects the most recent step to attract wide range of researchers, more than doubling in size in its first 6 months of operation. It's one thing to develop a 4-node test blockchain. It's quite another thing to hook up to a large-scale global network of nodes. Global network of nodes, they say. As a part of the research, which is currently being conducted by 7 students and professors, MIT is running a validator for Ripple's consensus ledger. Its permission distributed ledger system validator is a server that confirms transactions on a network on which the XRP digital asset sits. Going back early to 2015, MIT has been involved in blockchain tech, most directly through support of Bitcoin developments through its digital currency initiative. Last month, MIT DCI helped raise $900,000 to support Bitcoin developers, with donors to fund including venture capitalist Fred Wilson and LinkedIn founder Reid Hoffman. Listen to this. MIT's decision to use Ripple over alternatives was in part due to what Shire called the startup being very well positioned in finance. This is a term that Gary Gensler talks about all the time, that, blockchain and crypto can be good for finance. That's what he considers the application really best suited for, which we know Ripple is suited for that. Now, this is really Gary Gensler here at his time at MIT, and he won the MIT Sloan Outstanding Teacher Award based upon student nominations for 2018-2019 academic year, for which the $50 million was being used by MIT. And here we see Biden as the picks Gary Gensler for the fintech regulation and blockchain to be the next SEC chairman. Also, MIT Media Lab has told us back in August and even before then, but I just pulled this article for the news, is that the U.S. Federal Reserve is actively investigating distributed ledger technology and how they might be used for digitizing the dollar. So we have a couple things here. One, Ripple has donated to MIT, for which Gary Gensler worked at, and that donation money could be perceived as potentially a conflict of interest. Now, again, I am quite a few years short on that law degree, but I think I will be leaning into Seal, XRP attorney, and Jeremy Hogan, and see if they could shed some light on whether this would mean something to them if they knew it in a case or not. So maybe this could be why we're seeing a delay in Gary Gensler's confirmation. I don't know. I can't find any information that says it's moved any further along than where we are right here. Last action placed on the Senate executive calendar, number 33, subject to nominees' commitment to respond to requests and appear, testify before any duly constituted committee of the Senate. It should be going and should have already gone to the Senate for a full floor vote from the Senate. So we will keep an eye on that. Again, one thing is for sure, as I said in the opener, the SEC clearly needs some leadership here. The case is a mess, and it's unraveling in front of the whole world here, and what a mess it is. And I wanted to just show this just to confirm. This is a quick clip from Digital Asset Investor here, and shout out to you, my friend. I want you to hear this quick clip of what Gary Gensler says right here. Listen to this. He's quoting Jay Clayton, who was the SEC chair at the time. This is from back in, I believe, 2018 when he makes this comment. And then we're going to look at some other things. One second.
Chairman Clayton has spoken about this. And I quote, this was Chairman Clayton, it's not me. I believe every ICO I've seen is a security. You can call it a coin, but if it functions as a security, it's a security. That sure sounds like you can call it a coin, but if it's a duck, it's a duck. That's, sorry, Chairman Clayton. But in any event, I tend to agree with the chairman. I haven't reviewed all the ICOs. Who could review 1,000 to 2,000?
But he does agree with him about ICOs and that they are in fact securities. And he also agrees that Ripple, in his eyes, is in fact an ICO.
But other than maybe CryptoKitties, which I think CryptoKitties is not a security, I'm not sure it's an ICO, though. I tend to agree with them.
There you have it. And we're going to look at some other really, really important clips from Gary Gensler from that same talk in just a second. Here we hear the admission of Vitalik Buterin explaining that they're doing an ICO, but yet somehow they have not been held accountable for such a thing. So let me turn this up. Here we go.
Okay, so I'll talk a bit about the funding model. So we will have a fundraiser for 2 months starting February 1st. It will be available at funds.ethereum.org. So the idea is that part of the initial issuance will be 1,000 Ether for 1 Bitcoin, or up to 2,000 Ether for 1 Bitcoin if you get in early to compensate for the increased risk. So the issuance model is that we will fundraise, suppose that we hand out X Ether through the fundraiser. Then there will be about 0.5x will be pre-mined, and then 0.4x after that will be mined per year forever.
Well, there you have it. I mean, it doesn't get any more clear cut than that. I mean, I get the fact that Ripple wants to see the emails that have Ethereum and Bitcoin in it, but until they receive those emails, they should be sending the judge this tape. Exhibit A. All right, looking right here, we get to the actual full conference of that from Gary Gensler. And broadly, this is 2018 when the IC moments were coming on and they were addressing the initial coin offerings, which is the ICOs. Let's hear these comments and you will get an understanding of what Gary Gensler feels about this space. And in a second, a couple of these clips will be specifically talking about Ripple and XRP. He makes no bones about how he feels about it. Let's start with this right here where he talks about the ability, if you are in the SEC, to take advantage of writing new regulation. So he's not afraid to make changes at the same time seeing XRP as a non-compliant security. Listen to this.
With possible tailoring. Again, laws were written in an earlier stage. I stand here on this stage saying I think investor protection is important and that these have to be coming into that. But I'm also here saying I think that we might need to tailor some of these rules and regulations so that they fit into this new technology while still protecting investors. And lastly, a regulator talking to you all, the question is, what tools in the regulatory toolkit does a regulator use? Is it some enforcement actions, give a few speeches and expect a market to come into compliance? Is it hoping that private citizens will bring private rights of actions? Or is it also, in addition, using the rule writing authority? And I think you've seen that at the CFTC, the agency I was honored to run, but I think you'll see that at the SEC at some point too.
So he's leaning into the idea that the SEC will have to draft and write something new in addition to the Howey test itself. Let's move to the next clip here, which will be at 14:14. So let's go right here. Good enough. And XRP is an ICO to Gary Gensler. Listen to him break this down here.
Works off of that. But what about Ether and Ripple? And you can go down. I'm not just trying to pull these out. It's just these are the big five. Well, these all seem to have attributes of that Howey test. Was money given over in 2014 for Ether, Bitcoin for Ether?
Well, let's stop right there. So for a lot of people who say, well, it wasn't a money fundraise for Vitalik and Ether, they accepted Bitcoin. Well, Gary Gensler's well aware that they, didn't accept cash. They accepted Bitcoin. And Gary Gensler, being well aware of that, does not change his mind about the fact that that still qualifies you for an ICO.
Was money given to Ripple? Every month they sell another bit of it out of the escrow. Is there a common enterprise? Ripple Labs sure seems like a common enterprise. Or the Ethereum Foundation in 2014 I'm talking about. Is it on the expectation of profits? Well, the Ethereum Foundation offering had a 50% appreciation right in the first 42 days written into the offering. And Ripple, even today, links to 16 market makers in XRP. And they're doing a lot to enhance the value of XRP for the benefit of holders of XRP, for the benefit of their own company, because they own 60 or 61% of XRP. And is it on the efforts of others? Well, in the Ripple case, that feels to be the case. Ethereum sort of evolved into something maybe else, but the Ethereum Foundation is still quite central, maybe not as central as Ripple Labs. So I think there's a strong case, but it's not whether I think so. I think there's a worthy public debate about these issues.
So you clearly hear where he stands on that. That was 2018. We don't know if he's changed on the matter, but the question remains, if there is, well, there's obviously been a delay for some reason. I have no idea why. So that gets me thinking. I have had countless conversations with Big Skinny, and he proposed to me, he says, well, maybe it's the fact that, we're looking for a currency designation for XRP. They know clearly Gary does not see it that way. So why have him come in right now in the middle of this case that was brought by Jay Clayton himself? Maybe it's best to have him sit on the bench, either get a dismissal or a summary judgment from the judge, and then move on from there. And whatever that becomes, let Gary Gensler do the writing for the rest of the digital asset space. And in fact, that may cause another lawsuit for Ripple if they get out of this lawsuit, because Gary Gensler talks about the idea someone could sue Ripple based on the fact of how come they get to be a currency and we have to fall under some other framework that doesn't allow them to have the same designation as what they could potentially get. This is all us speculating about Gary's position on digital assets and broadly how he sees ICOs and the fact that he wraps Ripple into that notion. Now let's go to the next clip here at 1649, which you will see a little more of where he's at here by this. Let's go right here. Here we go.
To be something else. And a group of venture capitalists went into the SEC 10 days ago. They've circulated paperwork to a lot of people, and they're sort of saying, believe us, we get you, we're with you, SEC, but we have a bunch of clients that are going to evolve to be a consumable token. I kind of don't think this is going to work. I don't think there's any precedent in the law for a security to transform to be something else. But this is an issue on the table, and it's a worthy debate. So in conclusion...
There you go. So he's telling you in his eyes, he doesn't see where there's any legal precedent that something could start out as a security and then graduate to become something else later. That to me is disturbing right there, because that seems like he doesn't have any wiggle room in his understanding of these things to allow something to start out as potentially a security, as an ICO, and then graduate into becoming a not a security, right? So, which has been talked about by other SEC chairmen, which is a little baffling to me. But nevertheless, let's listen to this last little clip, just maybe a minute. Let's listen to this.
Sort of 1,000+ tokens. On Ripple and Ether, while I think there's a strong case particularly for Ripple or XRP, given the centrality and the common enterprise around Ripple Labs, and that they're selling it every month and so forth, that's really a discussion between them and the SEC. And ultimately, the way I would think is, if the SEC declares that they're securities, it might end up in court. And so it won't be the SEC, it'll be maybe not even a federal district court, but an appellate court that will decide, or the Supremes. But let me say this, if they decide that they're not securities, I think that too probably ends up in court. And the reason is because somebody else will say, well, why are they getting out of regulation and I'm not? So law is best when applied consistently. And we went through the Duck test and the Howey test, a little humorous, but it's also because for whichever way authorities go, they have to have an eye on consistency as well.
Right.
And so I think 9 months at the least, maybe 2 to 5 years at the longest.
Right.
And that's where he puts it, and which would put us at 2023, by the way. But in 2018, he is predicting what we are watching unfold in front of our eyes right now. Right now. My question still remains, where is Gary Gensler? Why is he not confirmed? And does it have anything to do with the fact of how he sees the market broadly? Listen, if we understand what Ripple's done with the implementation of widespread adoption with XRP, if we understand that, in fact, the value of XRP comes from all these different massive entities in all these different areas of industry, sophisticated financial institutions, central banks, payment providers, you guys know the drill. If we understand that their daily payment flows, their daily volume, moving on to the XRP ledger will be what drives price up, because all those sophisticated institutions that have that daily volume also have access to liquidity. I guess, at the end of the day, you just have to wonder, is there really a deliberate reason why there is a delay for Gary Gensler? Because one thing's for sure, we absolutely need leadership from the front on this matter. It gets even worse. Listen to the most recent thing here from Jeremy Hogan. Shout out to you, Jeremy. He said, I read the defendant's response letter in the quest to obtain SEC records related to Bitcoin and Ethereum, which the SEC publicly stated are not securities. Bottom line, I would be shocked if the judge does not make the SEC provide these documents. I'm going to go down to the next couple comments here really quickly. The lawsuit against Brad and Chris brings knowledge of wrongdoing into play, and that is turning into a big mistake for the SEC, as it is what makes these documents relevant. How big a mistake will depend on what's in the documents. Another very interesting thing hidden in a footnote, the SEC told a retail XRP holder that emailed the SEC that it had not made a determination as to whether XRP was a security in, wait for it, October 2020. They might have been drafting the lawsuit in October. He goes on to say, finally, the SEC is not helping itself when it tells the judge half-truths. See Section 3. You can't tell the court you produced 97,000 documents when half of those documents were produced from Ripple to the SEC pre-litigation. That is a sure way to piss off the judge. Yeah, I could see that. You don't have to be a lawyer to see that. But for me, I start asking myself, if we understand that Gary Gensler really broadly, and there are many, many other conferences and interviews where he is absolutely casual in the fact that XRP is in fact a non-compliant security to him, and he sees broadly a lot of digital assets as securities, digital asset securities in his eyes. I think, look, I'm speculating here, but, I have to think that broadly, he sees the infrastructure easier to tuck something like digital assets in as securities in a market infrastructure that already exists, from consumer to broker to the market regulator and regulatory framework. Securities framework has been in place for many, many decades, and it works. It feels to me, because he leans into the notion of if he was at the SEC, writing new things for what needs to embrace this technology and amendments to allow it to function in its use. It almost appears to me that Gary is leaning into the notion that we should just call the majority of these assets securities, and most of them probably won't have the capital requirements to be able to remain in space. And then you could easily tuck what is left, you could tuck what is left into the digital or security space framework, and then you could bring in the broker-dealers, make amendments for them so they can sell these new products. And now you've got the regulatory framework over the broker-dealer, how they capture information from the consumer, right? The actual retail investor like you and I. So imagine, if you don't understand, imagine that now all of a sudden you could get these things at Fidelity, and Fidelity's brokers have been cleared to sell them to you. And all the securities framework for regulation and capturing the right information, KYC, AML, all these things, is already in place. I don't know if this is what happens, but I have to lean into this notion. That's why made several videos about the idea that XRP could in fact be deemed a security because Gary Gensler says it is. So we don't know where this goes, and obviously the court case is up to the judge. And at the end of the day, we all may be more thankful about that than anything else. One thing's for sure, I don't know where Gary Gensler is. Do you? Hit the like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Make sure you share with somebody you know. Let's get to the bottom of this thing. It may be time to get Jeremy Hogan and XRP attorney Seal back on the show. I don't know. I will reach out to them. That is for sure. All right, that's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Share with somebody you know. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Check out all the links in the description box and the comment section. Don't forget that March Madness is no joke. Make sure you check out NFTs if you're into them. Link in the description box. Take care. I'll catch you on the next one.